Well, it seems every time I'm doing a project, I have to figure out how to interface into it. Some way to control it, make it do whatever, you want it to do. So I go out looking for buttons. Some are like keypads or bunches of buttons or maybe just a few little buttons. And then some kind of display, it could be a character display or maybe a graphics display. And it's maybe something not much of a display. And I'm thinking, what if I could hook it to my smartphone? I got these Bluetooth modules. They're pretty cheap. You can buy them like several at a time. Then all you got to do is interface them to your smartphone, and you can have all of that nice stuff on the smartphone controlling your project. But that means you got to write the software in the smartphone. So I decided, what if I could write this like really cool program in the smartphone that would interface into any of my projects? How would that be done? Well, I got to work on it, and here's what I've come up with. Well, here it is. Here's the gadget. Here's what the program looks like when you run it. Top box here is we call the communication box. All the data, both going out and coming in, is displayed just as it is. The outgoing data is in red and the incoming data is in blue. This is the title of whatever device we're connected to at the time. Like several other things, the device can send the title information here. Here's some data we're getting from the device. Here's our slider control, but this is an image, so I can't actually work it. When you want to send a variable amount, it sends data from 0 to 255. And here's our buttons. And because we're actually connected to something, it's able to update the legends on whatever buttons it wants, so that we know what they do instead of having to look it up or something. They still all send the same codes. This sends A, B, C, D, E, F. However, the legends show what they are. Here's a little wiring diagram, which is all on the GitHub page. The HC06 gets its VCC and ground from the Nano, and just TX and RX here are hooked to D2 and D3. So the software we provide works with this hookup and also with 3 LEDs that we can demo some of the features. Alright, now that we've got our unit all hooked up here, let's run the software. And see how this all works. Okay, and you notice it's come up here. Where's my pointer? It's come up here and put the legends in. 4 of the buttons, or 3 of the buttons here. And so that designates what we're doing over here. LED 1, 2, and 3. So LED 1, we hit the button. Now the buttons show both when the button's pressed and the button's released. They both send a code, and you can use it to temporarily turn something on as long as you hold the button down. Now, number 2, what we did in our software in here is to only look at the button press code and use it to toggle on and off. Also, you notice when we're on, it's highlighted here. It's optionally able to send a code back this way to tell what color to set the legend to. And so that keeps track. This is on and this is highlighted. Now, what we did with number 3, we hooked it to the slider control, and we're using that to give variable brightness. Hope this shows up on the video. The slider goes from 0 to 256 data. Okay, there we go. Slider up and down. Alright, the third button here, we labeled count. What this does is, every time this command gets there, it increments a counter in the software here, and then sends back data to the data window here, and increments it. You see the data coming in up here, and then it's displayed because it targets it for the first data box here. Now here, one of the features this has, we can hit buttons anytime we want, but the clock, you can just hit it and it'll send a code to say it's the clock. Now why we call it the clock is, yeah, you can hit it, and every time you do it's going to send the code, the clock code. And of course that's just a code. Here it's our software, you do whatever you want with it. But if we hold it down, now it just runs. Now once a second it sends the clock code to here. Now you can do anything you want with the clock code, but what we're doing is we're incrementing a counter, sending the data back to our second data box here. This can be done anything if you want something to run and give you updated readings all the time, or just perform something once a second. Now that clears. If we touch it again, you see it highlights here, and it stops. So that's some of the basic operation here. Okay. Well, here's another project here. Got one of our, I'll back up here a bit. Got a little circuit board with 64 kilobyte EEPROM and audio driver chip and a little speaker. Model airplane servo to open it. Let's turn it on. Okay, there's our Bluetooth going. So here's what this looks like when it runs. Alright, let's grab our... Alright, let's run the software. Keep it all in frame here. Hello. Hello, this way. Choose Frogbox. Okay. Alright. And what do we got here? Let's try re-init. Okay, now we got it. It's updated all the legends on the keys, as we can see here. Yeah. And yeah, there's a good one. Okay, and that's the idea. It found 10 entries in there in the memory chip, and when we hit one here, it will activate that voice. Now notice on the top line there, it sends out, each key sends out a command. Now the ones here that aren't doing anything, they still are sent out.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So that's working pretty good for that little project. And this is what it's made to do, you know. For every project you can re-legend the keys, do what it wants with the data boxes, sending out data. Okay, let's try this here. Alright, let's give this a go. Turn it on. Alright. Here's our program. A nice shot of this here, huh? Hello. Okay, are we up here? Let's pick one out. I think it was We use that one. Hello? Oh, yes. Tell by the button legends that, well, let's try a little bit adjustment here. No, let's try brightness down. Okay. There we go. Get a little better view. Okay, let's see. Are we running? Oh, forward, reverse. There we go. Forward. And we got the typical left and right. So we figured, when both wheels run forward, you get forward, and they both run backwards, you get reverse, when one's forward and one's reverse. But there's further possibilities. You can do like one forward or back while the other one's stationary, or this one this way. So that gives us, 8. I think we can maneuver pretty well that way. Well, that's our introduction to it. The actual program in its entirety is a free app on our GitHub site. Just check out the link to that. I've now used it in several different projects. Some of those projects will be showing up on my videos here. And when you see one and you see this interface, you'll know that we've hooked another project to this device. All in all, it's really cool. I just write code for the device and don't have to write the app and get all this convenience. Worked great, gotta tell you.